The Tao of Self-Confidence, episode 857. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. Well, hello, friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have an amazing lady on the show today. She is a certified trauma-informed financial wellness coach, and I'm super excited to have her on today to share about her journey. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Katy Chen Mazzara. Katy, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to our listeners.
Thank you for having me on. I'm so excited to be here. A little bit more about me is that I am a financial coach who helps who I call freedom seekers, make more, worry less about it, and achieve true financial freedom so they can create the life of their dreams.
I love it. And especially in our community, we have a lot of money trauma, like our elders or our relatives or, our parents or grandparents are always like, never accept money from people. Don't be so shameful. How could you do that? And because of that, we resist a lot of the times, especially when we're in business. We're like too afraid to ask for money, or we discount our prices when really it's hurting us instead of making us feel better. And we need to learn our worth, right? Charge the right price so that people can appreciate your skills and talents and the things you're going to do for them. So I love that you're in that work. And Katy, what's your cultural background?
I'm Taiwanese. I was born in Taiwan, Taipei, Taiwan.
Nice. I still have yet to go to Taiwan. I've been to the airport, but that's the farthest I've gone.
Did you get to go to the Hello Kitty lounge at the airport?
Definitely. I mean, I always take a picture when I'm at the Hello Kitty gate and at the Taipei airport. So I'm super excited about that. Or I always get super excited about it when I go to the airport, just even though if it's just a stopover. And Katy, what's your favorite self-confidence quote?
I love this quote. It's a little bit long, so I'm going to read it. It's by Marianne Williamson, and it says, "Don't stop now. Keep going. The next time someone makes you feel as though perhaps you're getting too big for your britches, say to them silently, 'I haven't even started yet.'"
I love that because especially as women, we tend to feel like we fail a couple times and we think that's the end, right? When really it never ends until you keep going, right? We're going to have challenges, roadblocks, but the more you keep moving forward, the more confidence you build, the more opportunities and results that you will have because you keep moving forward.
Yeah, and it's also a good reminder because it's like you don't have to keep everything. You don't have to say it out loud. You don't have to prove to anybody of your worth, right? Instead, you can actually do it in your mind and say, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get to where I want to go, even if you don't believe in me. And in fact, even if you don't believe in me, it doesn't really matter, right? Because these are the things that I want and they're part of my goals.
Yeah, and I love that. I mean, if I listened to every single person who told me not to do it, I wouldn't be here today. So I love that quote that you mentioned. And in your own words, how do you define self-confidence?
I define it in a way that is more about self-worth. And to me, self-worth is this really quiet, deep down knowing inside of you of who you are and what you bring to the table. And I just love this so much because it's when we really know who we are and what we bring to the table, we become really unshakable.
I love that. And especially as women in general, right? We never see our worth, right? We feel like we're not good enough. We hold back a lot. Even if we're 110% ready, there's still something that stops us from taking that first step. And it's really just the perception of ourselves, thinking, oh, well, who am I to do this? Who am I to start my own business? Who am I to start a podcast? Who am I to go out there and forge my own path? When really, you have everything inside of you to make things happen. It's really just that belief and self-worth, right? How you see yourself. So it really makes a huge difference because without it, you're not going to go out there and take action, right? You're not going to go out there and fail forward or get rejected 100 times or 1,000 times because it's all part of the process. So I love that definition that you mentioned. And Katy, what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
Well, it's a little bit about what you're talking about too in terms of like failing, because I think as Asians, we don't like the word failure. And I think we grew up with a lot of with what our parents try to teach us is to not fail, right? And so before really learning self-worth, self-confidence, I have to go all the way back to junior high school, right? Junior high school is always a time where we don't know who we are and we're kind of following the pack. And I did everything to be like my friends. I had a friend who was very popular and I wanted to just be just like her. I did everything. I tried to wear the right clothes, buying the right jeans and the sneakers and everything. And I even tried out for cheerleading, did not make it onto the cheerleading squad. And then I lost that friendship. And it, we had a falling out, and we ended up not being friends. All of those friends in that friend group actually stopped being friends with me. And I had to learn how to do things on my own and to discover who I was. And in fact, if that moment had not happened, I think I would have still been a follower rather than somebody who wanted to do things based off of my own terms and based off of who I am and what my strengths are, right? And instead of going on the cheerleading team, I ended up on the debate team, and I actually ended up being a champion debater. All of these things would never have happened if I had not had that falling out with those friends. And the falling out with the friends was mainly because I just kind of was a sheep and did everything that everybody else wanted me to do and be.
Yeah, I think that's something we all can relate to, especially in the Asian community, especially, junior high back in the day when you're the token Asian person and you just want to assimilate to Western culture. You want to have blonde hair, blue eyes. You want to change your name. If it sounds, more Asian, you want a more English name so people can accept you. And you just do everything you can to fit in. And then you have, your Asian parents who's trying to hold on to the traditions, but at the same time, you're like, no, I want to be more American or Canadian or more Western. And it's unfortunate that happened back in the day, when you're still that one Asian person in all, in the one class or one grade or one school. But that's the things we had to go through, back in the day, like in the 90s or the 80s. And we just had to figure it out along the way. But I'm glad you were able to figure it out and realize, well, cheerleading is not really for me. I'm just doing it because everyone else is doing it, right? Actually, I love to debate and I'm actually good at it. And what was that point in your life when you realized, especially becoming a business owner, becoming an entrepreneur, becoming a financial coach? What was that aha moment that made you take that leap?
It's actually really interesting when I was reflecting on the self-confidence journey. I think that a huge aha moment actually came only last year in March of 2021 when the Atlanta area shootings happened and 8 people were killed and the majority of them were Asian women. I was speaking up about this situation and how I felt about it, and I got trolls, and I specifically remember one person during a live actually said F you to me, or wrote that when I was going live. And my instinct was to be the good girl, to hide, to shut things down, maybe turn off my live and just be quiet and be silent. And instead I was in that moment, I was you know what? I have a choice here. I can either do that, just totally shut my live off, or I can keep talking and keep speaking up regardless of who this person is, because I don't even know who this person is, right? And I kept going, and I was so proud of myself because I was you know what? This is a moment where these women were killed and they don't have a voice anymore. They can't speak up anymore, right? And also there are so many Asians in Canada, in the US, who may not even speak English perfectly and may get made fun of or feel like they're misunderstood so many times. And so I have a platform. I can do this. I can actually use my voice to actually speak up for the things that I'm passionate about and the things that I really care and the things that I understand and know and that I can help people with too. So it was a big turning point for me in terms of my own visibility and feeling okay, I have this platform and I need to step up.
Yeah, it's not always easy to speak up, especially when you come from a culture where you've been told to just be in the background, never make any noise. But, especially with what happened in Atlanta last March or in March of 2021, that was horrific. 6 out of 8 of the victims were Asian. Nobody had any media coverage, or it was too late by then. Everyone kept sympathizing for the shooter, even though it was intentional. I mean, it's just crazy that until now we're still going through this, right? The Asian hate crimes, Asian women being targeted. Just a couple of weeks ago, I read an article about a 64-year-old Asian woman who was kidnapped, tortured, and raped by a 26-year-old man. And his reason was because he got tired of swiping on dating apps. And that was his way of, getting women. And it's like, this is not how it should be, right? Like, this is just terrible. It's horrible. It's disgusting. Like, even reading the article was just made me really sick to my stomach, knowing that this is real life. And this is why having platforms is so important, to speak up for our community, who always seems to get left behind in these Asian hate crimes. Nobody ever talks about the victims and how they're feeling, and the PTSD they're going through, and the mental health traumas that they're going through. And it's important to know that and to talk about it, so that they feel like they're being heard and they can heal in the process. And so I'm glad you were able to go out there and speak up. And like I mentioned, it's not easy. I get trolled. I get called all kinds of names, right? But that's the territory, right? It comes with the territory. Like, when you speak up, not everyone's gonna agree with your views, but that's okay, right? You know where you're going, you're doing something for the better, and we just keep moving forward. And because of that, what's your life been like now?
Well, it really goes back to that piece of self-worth, that definition that I told you about, how it's a deep, quiet knowing, like deep it down inside of you, that you're, you know who you are and what you bring to the table. And that does make me unshakable, right? Or at least it becomes more and more unshakable, right? Like, I'm constantly learning and I'm not perfect at it. However, the more that I do it, the more unshakable I become. And that's really powerful, because it's easier to kind of brush yourself off, right? It's like the little kid on the playground who falls, but then quickly gets up and starts running around again and playing, right? As if nothing happened. And that's what I think, like, self-growth and discovery and personal development has done for me as well, is that, like, I don't dwell in it as long as I used to. Instead, I'm able to just brush myself off and keep going, and really start to create more things and have more fun in my life.
I'm so glad you're able to go out there and live life on your terms, be able to have fun and show up as your authentic self. And to the woman who's listening to your episode, she may be in her own journey to self-confidence. What would be that one tip you would give to her?
I love the idea of keeping kind of a journal or something where you start to write down what is positive about yourself, because our minds have that negativity bias, and we tend to only look at the negative, right, to protect ourselves. It's so important that we're also kind of counteracting that and looking at the positives. So either, like, write down something positive about yourself in your journal every day, or I like to use something with my clients and my students, a self-worth jar. So I ask people to get, like, a clear jar, and each and every day write on a little sheet of paper, like a tiny little thing, like maybe fortune cookie sized, piece of paper, and write something positive. It can feel silly to you. However, to me, it's all about building up that worth. It's like with money, we have compounding interest. This is the same thing. You're compounding your own worth every single day by writing something positive about yourself. It can be, I had a good hair day today. It can be a compliment that somebody gave you that meant something to you. It can be just, I showed up for myself and I'm really proud of myself. Anything that can feel like it's positive, it doesn't even matter what it is, write it down, put it in your jar, and then next time you have a moment where you need that boost of self-confidence, you can pull it out and read through everything and see and feel into, like, what you wrote, right? Like, I had a client one time, when she first read through everything, she said she didn't recognize who wrote those things. That's how far removed sometimes we are from that higher self. Right? Our higher self, the self that does feel worthy. And so this is a really beautiful practice for all of us to be able to do something like that.
I love it. And it's so true, the more we can write these things down, and sometimes we just need to see it, right? All the good things that we've done to see, like, it is capable. We are possible. Anything's possible out there. We are worthy to go out there and take action, right? And the more you keep doing it, the more confident you get, and you just keep moving forward. And like you mentioned, having that unshakable confidence. So thanks for sharing that tip. And if our listeners want to get to know a little bit more about you and what you do, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Yeah, so I'm on all social media at Katy Chen Mazzara, KatyChenMazzara. That's also my website, katychenmazzara.com.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. To our listeners, if you want to connect with Katy, you can also head on over to the taoofselfconfidence.com and search for Katy's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else that we talked about. And I really just want to thank Katy today for taking the time to share her journey and wisdom and tips with us on self-confidence. So thank you so much, Katy.
Thank you so much, Gina. I'm so happy to be here.
Not a problem. Such an honor to have you on the show today. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of The Tao of Self-Confidence. You can order your copy of Asian Women Who Boss Up book by visiting our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.